It is Friday, September 4th, 2020, and this is an update on the status of the Three Gorges Dam and the happenings around China. We have 5 pieces of information to cover today, including China allocates millions for flood disaster relief. Next, courtesy of China.org, over 100 flights canceled in Heilongjiang due to typhoon. Also, courtesy of Oz, why is China cracking down on food waste? And last, courtesy of China Daily, China's flood response sees improved results. We also have some new photos and some new footage. Let's hop into it. And a brief caveat before today's video. While researching for these reports, I come across information from various sources. Just because I decide to include a piece of information doesn't necessarily mean that I agree with it. I like to let you decide for yourself. Moving on. And a quick look at the status of the water level at the Three Gorges Dam before we get started. The current water level at the Three Gorges Dam is 160.55 meters. That's down from yesterday's 160.81 meters. The current outflow is listed at 26,700 cubic meters per second, and that's exactly the same as yesterday's 26,700 cubic meters per second. The current inflow is not noted, and it is worth noting that these numbers are released by the CCP. And one last piece of information before we get started. Taiwan denies shooting down Chinese warplane. The Taiwanese Ministry of Defense has denied shooting down a Chinese Su-35 jet today after social media was abuzz. And this comes courtesy of Xinhua. China allocates millions for flood disaster relief. China has allocated 800 million yuan, that's about 117.1 million US dollars, to support agricultural production and disaster relief in flood-hit regions, the Finance Ministry said on Thursday. The funds will be used to restore flood-damaged water conservation facilities and agriculture, husbandry, and fishing industries in 11 disaster-stricken provincial regions, including the provinces of Anhui and Sichuan, as well as the Chongqing municipality, the Ministry of Finance said on its website. On Wednesday, the country lifted the Level 4 flood control emergency response in the Yangtze River Basin as water levels retreated below the warning lines, marking the end of 63 days of flood control emergency responses in the region, which began on July 2nd. And this is courtesy of China.org. Over 100 flights canceled in Heilongjiang due to typhoon. A total of 103 flights had been canceled, and 4 others delayed as of 2:30 p.m. on Thursday at the Harbin Taiping International Airport in northeast China's Heilongjiang province due to Typhoon Maisak. The periphery of the typhoon has brought strong winds and heavy rainfalls in Heilongjiang, and local meteorological authorities predict that Maisak will hit the province on Thursday night. Heilongjiang activated the Level 4 response, the lowest in China's 4-tier emergency response system for flood control at 2 p.m. on Wednesday, according to the Provincial Flood Control and Drought Relief Headquarters. The Provincial Weather Bureau initiated a Level 3 response for meteorological disasters at 2:30 p.m. on Wednesday, warning of the possibility of inundation of farmlands and flooding of some rivers across the province. In Harbin, the provincial capital, schools and kindergartens are required to suspend outdoor activities on Thursday and Friday. Compared with other provinces in eastern China, a typhoon is less common in Heilongjiang, as the border province is far from an open sea. And this comes courtesy of Oz.com. Why is China cracking down on food waste? And I'll jump ahead in the article where some new information is provided. Concerns over food and its absence have long been a preoccupation of China's rulers. From 1949 to 1952, spanning the founding of the People's Republic, the country suffered the worst famine in history. Tens of millions of people died from a combination of natural disasters and calamitous industrial and agricultural policies. For leadership today, the problem is not so much keeping China fed, but rather providing middle-class Chinese consumers with the foods they desire at prices they can accept. In recent months, a primary worry has been ensuring a steady pork supply, but efforts to rebuild hog herds after a mass culling from an outbreak of African swine fever have been repeatedly set back by the flooding across southern China. Food prices soared 13% in July, largely driven by an 86% rise in pork prices. Everyone is concerned about the human epidemic, not the pig one, but in reality the problem with African swine fever is still ongoing, says Chan Kung, founder of the Anbound Research Center, a think tank. Right now the livestock markets are overall not very stable. Delays in restocking hog inventory have kept prices at more than double the level they were before the outbreak, despite China having released 450,000 tons of frozen pork from its strategic reserves since the start of the year. Last month, record floods hit southwestern Sichuan province, the country's top pork producer. Official data of damages to hog inventory have yet to be released, but videos and photos of dead pigs and flooded pens suggest farmers did not escape the deluge. For Chan, the push to limit food waste is in reality the same as asking everyone to pay attention to the problem of food security. But the campaign is set to move beyond advocacy and encouragement. Lawmakers have announced proposals for legislation to punish Chinese companies, institutions, and individuals that waste food. What you eat and how much you eat is an individual right. Chow Wanping, a delegate to the National People's Congress, China's rubber-stamp parliament, told the state-backed Economic Daily newspaper. But if there is food waste, Chow continued, then that harms the public good, and there should be restrictions at the level of the legal system. Thank you for watching this video. If you're finding it informative, please consider giving the channel a subscribe. And this comes courtesy of China Daily. China's flood response sees improved results. China has seen flood-related casualties this year, so far almost half from the average of the past 5 years. Despite the wider impact of flooding on people's lives and economy, according to the Ministry of Emergency Management, a vast stretch of areas has been affected by floods this year, said Chao Zuwen, Vice Minister of both Emergency Management and Water Resources, at a news conference organized by the State Council Information Office on Thursday. About 70.47 million people in 28 provincial regions have suffered floods so far this year, up 17% from the average of the past 5 years, he noted. The long-lasting floods this year have resulted in total direct economic losses of almost 214.31 billion yuan, 27% more than the past 5 years' average, he added. He said, however, there has been a sharp decrease in casualties as the ministry attached greater importance to evacuation. The number of people left dead or missing in floods decreased 49.8% from the 5-year average to 271. About 4.7 million people have been urgently evacuated so far this year, 47.3% more than the average of the past 5 years, he noted. And our last piece of information is a series of interesting tweets. And I think that's a good place to wrap up today's video. I hope that you found it informative, and check back soon for more content.